How's it going, guys? This is Ketchup here once again, bringing you another balance patch video. This time I'm going to be focusing on Kotal Kahn, another character that was significantly buffed, really, given some really decent adjustments as a character. A few universal changes, but mainly changes to Sun God and Blood God. We're going to talk about the universal changes first. There were several regular attack collisions to hit more consistently on ducking opponents and in combos, basically just general hitbox fixes that have happened to most characters. So, his back 1 now has 9 startup frames, down from 10. It's 1 frame faster. He now gets basically a 9 frame mid, which advances, a good poke and is safe on block. So it's a 9 frame mid that leads into a full combo. They did mention on the stream that this string used to have a gap in it. Now it doesn't. He's set to reversal, meter burn spin. I'm getting punished for it, obviously, but you can see here that there is no gap in this string anymore, which there used to be. So that's one of the changes that he was given. His back 2 now low crushes and has 25 startup frames, so we'll turn him off. Block real quick. This now has 25 start frames, it's 2 frames quicker, and actually low crushes, meaning if they try and low poke me or low profile, this will actually go over it and crush them on prediction of a low poke. So if I'm doing this, let's say I do like a jump into back 1, I think he's going to down 1, you could do, jump, back 1 on block, and then go into this, because you're predicting a low poke. You have no armoured reversal here in Blood God, but you at least have a low crush which you can throw out to beat that low profiling attack. So that was one of the changes. His forward 1-2, which is this, is now -6 on block. Let's turn him on block always again. So he's set to do meter burn spin as soon as he can, and as you can see, this is now no longer unsafe on block. This used to be totally unsafe and punishable, and now it isn't. Not many things could punish it, but in matchups like Kung Lao, this was a really big deal that he could punish you, because the second he got a bar of meter, you really couldn't do anything, because there were too many gaps in your strings, too many gaps in your offense, and at the same time, your pokes that you would normally just try and hit confirm or do by itself, he could still punish you with things like meter burn spin. That has obviously been removed. Forward 1-2 is totally safe on block now. Obviously things like forward 1 back 2 are still unsafe, forward 2 technically still unsafe, but now you've got a poke that will be totally safe on block and just check someone with. In this kind of mid-screen footsie game, you've got a poke that you can just throw out there and there is very minimal risk because it's no longer unsafe on block. The next change was his air grab. Now the attack priority happens on frame 4 down from frame 8. Long story short, the active frames on this are increased, which means not increased as such, but it starts up slightly quicker in terms of when the game recognizes where the grab will connect. This just basically means that it's a much more viable anti-air now, and it works better as an anti-air move, which was obviously the original intention for this attack. There are plenty of air grabs in the game, and this is one of them. So that's one of the changes. This is where things get very interesting. The Mace Parry and Mace Master Parry, or Master Mace Parry, now work against most projectiles. The Mace Parry is basically his reflect style move. So if I go record and throw the hat, I can now reflect this. Not reflect it as such, but I can absorb it with my parry. This wasn't possible before, but obviously now you can do this. It didn't used to absorb projectiles, but now it does. Meaning in this kind of game, you can absorb these projectiles and get the damage buff after that, and then go in and do whatever you want, and get just a little bit more damage on your next hit, whatever you want to do. The second change on the parry, let's go record again, is the... There we go, record AI, 4-4, we'll try and block. There we go. So, the parry... The regular parry starts up in 7 frames, down from 9, and the master parry, the meter burn parry, starts up on the first frame, which means it starts up way quicker. One of the fastest moves in the whole game. The regular parry will just mean you can reflect projectiles and stuff a little bit easier. The big deal here is the fact that his meter burn parry is now... I'm going to turn him off this real quick. The big deal is that the meter burn parry now starts up on the first frame. This is a big deal for a multitude of reasons, but the major reason I'm going to go into, in my opinion, is the fact that now he gets a interrupt in this variation. So even though he has no armoured reversal in Blood God, he can still interrupt things. If I go record Kung Lao, do 4-4, there's obviously a gap in this string. He's going to block as soon as he can. There's a gap in this string which normally you can't capitalise on outside of an armoured reversal. Now we have a 1 frame parry. We can interrupt this. And obviously if we're quick enough, we can actually punish Kung Lao for doing that. I'm not sure what the follow-up would be there, but as you can see, first frame, if you're really quick you can punish it with that too. As you can see there you go. Whatever. I'm not sure what the follow-up would be, but you can block the first hit, parry the next one, and then punish him for it. I don't know how much damage you can get. I'm sure you can get loads of damage on that, but you can do forward 1, back 2, you can do, 1-1-4 meter burn grab, into something like this. That's 42% just by itself without any damage upgrades. If we have something like the damage totem up and then we do this, let's do damage totem, interrupt. You know, that's a lot of damage just for interrupting something, do you know what I mean? And now he's able to do it because he gets the 1-frame parry. And obviously this will work on many things in the game, but it just means, you know, this is just a prime example really of what you can now do in Blood God. So we'll turn him off there. So there were the changes to the mace parry. These were actually all of the universal changes. I just used Blood God as a prime example. We're going to talk about the Blood God changes right now. So first things first, Kotal now gains meter on being hit and when blocking while Obsidian Totem is active. So while the Obsidian Totem is active, if I block attacks, so we're going to have to record again. Unfortunately, there's no cleaner way I can do this by myself. But, you know, this, for example, let's do that. Right. If we do Obsidian Totem, you'll notice I actually will now gain meter for blocking hits. This is huge because it means I can now be on the defensive and build meter the whole time, which means I can build meter for breakers if I want to combo break for whatever reason, or I get more meter for my 1-frame parry now, which gives me just a little bit more defense. Another change this was given was the fact that while the Obsidian Totem is active, I'll actually gain more meter being hit. As you can see, I'm gaining actually a chunk every time I get hit rather than a little fraction, which it used to be. So look at the meter you gain now. The funny thing about this though is when the Obsidian Totem is active, let's record him again. We'll do that. Right, so if you look at the meter I gain regularly here when getting grabbed, that's how much meter Kotal normally gains. If you look at the bottom left, this is how much meter Kotal Khan normally gains when he's being grabbed. If an Obsidian Totem is active and now I get grabbed, look at the meter. He gains an entire bar. If he gets grabbed by Kung Lao, he gains an entire bar of meter. Look at this. And that's the Obsidian Totem buff. So he gets more meter on block and more meter upon being hit by things like that. So I had to turn them off again. We go custom, here we go. Right, so here's the next change. The Blood Offering will now add to its damage to an active Blood Totem. If the Blood Totem is active and now I Blood Offering, I take 10% damage. However, when this totem diminishes, I'm actually going to get that damage back. So basically the way that works is now the Blood Offering simply adds to that. So if I use the Blood Offering, you'll notice that when the totem disappears, I'm now going to get that health that I took back the second the totem vanishes, and that's Blood God. Very, very viable. I think the universal changes really helped him, and the changes they gave to his, you know, less useful, I'm not saying less useful totems, but the changes they gave his totems were definitely a big deal. We're going to go into Sun God now. Now this is where things get interesting again, because Sun God was actually given a new attack. Let's go Sun God. First things first, they increased the life gain from Soul Scorch and meter gain from Soul Burn. So first things first, I'm going to have to quickly bring these up. So we're gonna go, remember this, there we go. So the Soul Scorch, which is this, oh yeah, of course, this was the new move that was given to Sun God Kotal Khan. Sorry guys, you gotta bear with me, I don't actually play Sun God. So Soul Spark is a new move. Kotal Khan can now actually manually give himself stacks on this. So I'm gonna have to quickly take my health down and go, let's go energy meter, normal, yep, and then we're going to go damage, information, suit meter. How do we change our health here? Life percentage, oh god, sorry. How much time did I waste doing this? Right, so as you can see now we're on this life. When you use the Soul Scorch, it's obviously cashing out on these stacks. So as you stack up, you can then go for, basically, you can give yourself meter with the regular version. So you can see there, I get a nice chunk of meter back, or if I use the meter bend version, I get health back. So it works both ways. They've basically upped the meter and health you gain on both of these. So if I go max stacks here and then charge meter, I get almost a full bar. If I charge max stacks and then spend a bar to get the health back, I actually get a really nice chunk of health back also. So generally, it's given him a nice kind of sort of counter zone-y game to a degree where, you know, it actually recovers really quickly. As you can see, I can cast it and then jump almost immediately, which means that from this kind of far away, I can block something, cast this, and there's really not much the opponent can do to stop me from getting these stacks. If I feel like I'm on max stacks here, not only will I get my instant max grab, which does, you know, a really good chunk of damage because they buffed it in a patch that came out before. But now, you know, the big deal is because they've buffed the payout on meter and health, I can now kind of sit full screen and just kind of, you know, sit full screen, duck something, watch something with, and then just get a free stack. Give myself meter or health depending on what the situation is that I want to do. So generally that's actually really helped him. It's definitely given him a hand, I think. So it's increased the life gain on Soul Scorch and has a new move called Soul Spark. And bear in mind, guys, if you meter burn Soul Spark, you instantly get 3 stacks. Which means that, you know, right at the start of the game, you can spend a bar, which now means that every single command grab you're going to have, depending on whether you want to combo it, whether you want to tick throw it, every single grab from the get-go is now going to do max damage. Or you can have this and then go, right, I want to give myself meter later in the match, or if I want to give myself health. Either way, you now have the option to do that, as you can see there. There was one final change given to War God. I may as well demonstrate it while I'm here. But now we're going to talk about the final change, which is Sword Shake and Sword Quake are now hard knockdown. Basically, these moves here, these are hard knockdowns now. The opponent can't tech roll. That's it, really. War God, the lack of gap in this was quite interesting. The removal of certain gaps was a big deal for Kotal Kahn in general. There will still be gaps between his sword attacks. So if I go block mode always and then reversal on into Cyclone, you know, there is no gap here anymore. But there will still be a gap here, for example. I think it's the overhead sword. There you go. So the regular sword option has a gap, and the low option still has a gap, as you may have seen in my other video. I'm not sure if this always had a gap, but I guess it doesn't anymore. Or if it had a gap before, whatever. But the big deal is that, you know, there's still a fair chunk of gaps in these strings. It's just that this now gives a hard knockdown. And that's it, really. That is Kotal Kahn. Once again, you know, this video is going to be a little bit long because it's not necessarily just talking about the buffs that were given. I think it's important to really talk about the method of why these buffs have been given to these characters and the applications that you guys can sort of go straight into using when you're going to be playing these characters now. Kind of, you know, hit the ground running and understand what you can now do and just kind of go straight into it, really. But that's Kotal Kahn. I think the buffs definitely helped him. I think Sun God is very interesting. I've seen people say that he has a very strong counter zoning game in terms of like being able to sit full screen and just kind of build stacks. And obviously Blood God having its counter zoning as well was also a huge deal, because the Obsidian Totem means not only is he going to be harder to keep out because of his damage increase, but now he's going to be able to call the Obsidian Totem, so even if he blocks your projectile, he's actually building meter the whole time, which is massive for him. But that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. There will be more characters coming out. Mustard will be doing a Kano video next. Obviously Kano's been recently changed in a hotfix as well, so it's a good thing we didn't do that video yesterday. But that is it. Hopefully you guys liked that. I'm Ketchup. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Take care.